Have you ever taken on a project that started small but spiralled into something much bigger? Maybe it was to test yourself, sharpen old skills, or learn something completely new. That's exactly where I find myself right now. Last year, I was asked to replace a paper-based system in my residential building. And what started as a small request has grown into something much bigger. A multi-tenant SaaS platform. I'm building this using the latest .NET framework, using Entity Framework for the data access, hosting it all on Azure. The front-end portion is built using Angular micro frontends. For the software architecture, following domain-driven design principles and the onion architecture pattern. And I'll show you how I'm building it step by step. Hi, I'm Scafey, software developer with roughly 20 years commercial experience. I recorded a video previously, should be appearing now, being around 7 minutes, quickly runs over what I have so far, along with an estimated video schedule. However, I wanted to properly introduce myself and give you a bit more detail about my career and this project. I am aware that I have an accent, and I will try to speak slow and clear the best I can in all my videos. I will also try and ensure that there is a script that I follow, so I can enable subtitles for those that may struggle with the accent. If you're wondering where in the world my accent is from, it's South Yorkshire. From a mining village, more specifically mining area, as all the surrounding towns and villages were also mining communities. The pits were closed a few decades ago though. It falls within the boundaries of a town called Barnsley in Yorkshire, in the north of England. In my career, I've had the privilege of working on some major projects, including AAA games, where I helped to build the microservices and APIs behind them. Pardon me. I've contracted for some big names. Microsoft, where I worked at the first party Xbox Studio Rare. The first game I worked on, working Xbox Rivals. Rare Replay launched whilst I was there, and before I left I was working on CFEs. I love my time at Microsoft, working on Xbox projects, meeting industry leaders, being a part of game development were an incredible experience. If I'm honest, looking back, I struggle with imposter syndrome and burnout. But in hindsight, I should have stayed. I was offered another contract extension and didn't take it. But I knew what were coming down the line years in advance. I got to work with amazing people. I also met Xbox Phil Spencer a couple of times. And whilst I was there, I participated in week-long code jams. I learned so much from my peers. I've worked in betting industry for Bet365, one of the largest firms of its kind in the world. I've also had a stint at the Ministry of Defence down in Corsham. And throughout my career, I've worked on a wide variety of systems. I've seen a fair few of the challenges that need to be solved. I've always been driven by a desire to keep learning and pushing my own limits. I've also led a team or two in the past, but I prefer the fun of coding rather than people management. I ended up burning out in my mid-30s. undiagnosed ADHD, along with a few mental and physical health problems, some family illnesses. It just had me apathetic towards life and my career for quite a while. Reason I left Microsoft was the imposter syndrome eventually broke me. I didn't feel as though I could keep up with my peers. If I'd have signed that contract extension and stayed, I feel it would have subsided. Always does. So, want to be. I get my ADHD diagnosis next February, after about 5 years of waiting. But in the meantime, I'd like to get back to the level I felt I were at before all of that. Not only that, last few years I've been working mainly on legacy software, so I'm conscious that my skills will stagnate, and I feel that they already have. So it serves my interests to ensure I keep up to date with the industry, practice what I've learned over the years. So this meant that I was looking for a project that could reignite my passion for development, push my skills, help me test my capabilities, and just help me to regain some of that confidence that I used to have. I wanted to see what I'd remember from my time at the top level. Needed to recognise any areas where stagnation's crept in. So I wanted to get back up to speed on the industry and where it's at. Hopefully learn something new along the way, tighten up my skill set, and for once get something to market. I've a string of incomplete software projects I've started and abandoned over the years, including a shmup, shorthand for shoot 'em up, which we're building in Unity and C#. Something that I hope to pick up again one day. Probably the week before this minimum viable product for this SaaS platform's ready to ship. So around this time last year, the director of my residential complex asked me if I'd be interested in developing some software to help them manage package delivery to the residents. They're still using paper. Initially, I didn't think much of it because I couldn't see a return on investment. I make a decent living as a software developer, so anything that I would choose to take on had to have the potential to surpass my current wage for me to consider it. So, why waste the energy, right? But then I discovered many high-end apartment complexes in the area have similar issues. These buildings have a management company that oversees everything, and they manage multiple buildings around the country, not just here in Birmingham. That's when I saw an opportunity to build something a little more substantial. So when my contract came to an end in March of 2024, the contract market was dead on arrival due to the July general election. I decided to see if I could flesh it out into a multi-tenant SaaS product. So I jumped in, taking this sheet of paper as the basis for the project, and just figuring out how we can make it work as a multi-tenant software as a service platform. I'll cover that process in detail in my next video. So using my building as inspiration, I sketched out a basic relational model. I knew that the building was managed by a service company. We've had 2 or 3 of them manage the building over the last 10 years. So I knew that my model, it'd have to be flexible to allow a site to change hands. I know that the current management company operates in multiple cities. And using this bit of information, I could naturally see a tenant, location and site relationship. So the tree growing of the relational model started to bear fruit, and then from that I could see other relationships and ideas for expanding and creating that domain model. Not only that, also I wanted to test more than my software chops. I enjoy my work as a developer, but I'm getting older and I started to think about my career and where I'd like it to go. I also have poor documentation standards when it comes to tracking my work in ADO and Jira. Always forget to update my tickets. So I wanted to try and discipline myself into doing that automatically, so that I don't have to be chased by my peers. I spent a few months last year working on building out this platform that I hope will modernise property and facilities management in luxury flats. So I ended up pausing development for a while, as I started a new contract in July 2024, and I had to learn a whole new domain in the insurance industry. Couldn't afford the cloud hosting costs at the time either. And the building was looking at bringing in lockers that would remove the concierge from having to manage residents' deliveries. So the window to get some real world usage last year were rapidly closing on me. However, it's March 2025. These lockers aren't materialised. There's no ETA for the installation. So once again, seen a bit of a pathway forward. And I'm back on it now. And I'm hoping to share lots more at a rapid pace. I intend to get the minimum viable product built and in use in my building, and then build out the rest of the platform from there. So in my coming videos I will document the 4 APIs, one of which uses ASP.NET Identity and the Azure function that I have built so far. Each of these will have its own video where I walk you through various aspects of them and why they exist. I may break these into several smallish videos so as not to overwhelm. Just bear with me as I figure out the best way to demonstrate what I've built and plan to build. I use XUnit, auto fixture and then substitute as part of my testing strategy. I have already built some pipelines as I NuGetted packages early on, so I'll explain why I believe this was beneficial in quickly prototyping out my idea. I will explain my database strategy and the patterns that I have used and why I chose to create microservice APIs rather than build it as a monolithic application. So that's a lot to cover, from database strategies to testing, pipelines and microservices. And as I continue building this out, I'll share everything I learn along the way. So, if you're a developer or hobbyist interested in SaaS development, software architecture, or just leveling up your skills, follow along. Drop a comment, ask questions. Let's build a community where we learn from each other. And if you don't want to miss any updates, you subscribe.